Hello and welcome to the show. Tom Nieman along with Brad Newitt, and tons of fun right now in men's and women's basketball. Bradley, the men's side is all jammed up. You got 4 teams tied at the top there. Women's side of things right now, you got South Dakota State. Yep. 2 of the usual suspects. IUPUI hanging in there as well on the women's side.
Yeah, I really like where IUPUI is at on the women's side. They're a couple games back, Tom, but they have South Dakota State and USD still coming to Indianapolis. Those are 2 big games for them, but they're really playing good basketball right now.
Danielle Lawrence of IUPUI is the Women's Player of the Week again. Just a sophomore for the Jaguars. She had 24 points in a double overtime win over Denver. She was 10 for 10 at the free throw line in the 2 overtime periods there. And then Lawrence with 23 points as the Jags hold on for a 3-point win at Oral Roberts. And IUPUI has always had guards that can really score. They had Diarra Goss a couple of years ago. Seems like Lawrence is that kind of player right now for IUPUI.
Well, she's really carrying them on the perimeter. She's shooting the ball well, and then, like you said, getting to the foul line, and that's really what she is excelling at. Driving to the basket, she's very quick, good athlete as well. And you match her with what Rogers brings this team on the inside, and you can see why they're really playing good.
All right, on the men's side this week, similar story in Fort Wayne. Max Landis is the player of the week for the 3rd time already this season. 28 points in a win at Oral Roberts, and then 19 in a win over Western Illinois. He had 11 assists and 2 turnovers in 76 minutes on the floor. Landis is averaging 9 points a game, or he did average 9 points a game last year, Brad. He's scoring 18 a game this year. He's getting some help, but he is really carrying a lot of the load right now in Fort Wayne.
Well, I hope they got a good chiropractor for him in Fort Wayne, because he is carrying this team on his back. And, they lose Mo Evans, and no one knew how that was going to affect Fort Wayne. But Landis has just stepped in and really led this team. He's doing it on both ends of the floor, but especially scoring the basketball and getting his teammates involved, too. He's a great setup man.
All right, Fort Wayne and IUPUI and South Dakota State and Omaha on the men's side all tied at the top right now at 7-2 in Summit League play. And when we come back, a 5-minute fast break on all of the games of the week in men's basketball, including a 2-point win and a 1-point win at home for IUPUI.
Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort, Dakota Land Honda, and South Dakota Corn. Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and the Sioux Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Well, we're halfway through the Summit League season, and we have 4 teams tied at the top of the standing in men's basketball. Newitt, and I kind of like it this way without one team that's just blowing everybody away. I kind of like having this little logjam we've got right now.
You like the drama then. I think there's going to be a lot of drama in February. There's going to be some great games, but to me the thing that's really exciting is looking ahead to the Summit League tournament, because I think these, especially the 4 teams at the top, they've shown they're all capable of beating each other, and so you get on a neutral site at Sioux Falls and it could be some really exciting basketball.
2 of the league leaders right now played in Brookings on Thursday. South Dakota State hosting Omaha, and this was the 5th road game of the first half of the season for Omaha, and the Mavericks had won their first 4 on the road coming into this game. But SDSU started hot, they stayed hot. Jackrabbits shoot at 63% in the first half, 60% for the ball game. Omaha led for 16 seconds. Otherwise, the Jackrabbits pretty much dominated this game. Not dominated, but they were hot throughout the whole game.
Yeah, they were in control, and they really played well offensively at South Dakota State. You could tell their offense was really clicking. They were moving the ball well, but I think the thing that really impressed me is how well South Dakota State took care of the basketball, Tom. Only 13 turnovers. Omaha only 7 steals in this game, and that might be a lot for a lot of teams, but this is an Omaha team that we've seen be in double-digit steals in a lot of their Summit League games. They really depend on their defensive pressure to create easy baskets for them offensively, and they just didn't get that in this game.
Omaha led by Devin Patterson with 14 points, 7 assists. Omaha gets to the free throw line 20 times, but they have been getting to the free throw line 27 times a game in Summit League play. And for the Jackrabbits, George Marshall with 28, DeAndre Parks with 22. These guys have been really good at home at Frost Arena this season.
And it's the second time they've done this in what I would kind of call a really high-profile game. They played very well against Fort Wayne. Both of them had career highs in that game as well, and it was kind of deja vu here again in this one with both of them going over 20. And when South Dakota State gets both of those guys playing at that level, they really look unbeatable.
So Jacks win that one on Thursday. Elsewhere on Thursday was Fort Wayne on the road at Oral Roberts. Oral Roberts was up by 9 at halftime. They led by 7 midway through the second half, but Fort Wayne comes back to win at 68-63. 27 points for Obi Emegano for Oral Roberts, but 28 for Max Landis for Fort Wayne.
Well, Landis getting the job done on the road, and he does it very efficiently. 9 of 18 shooting for a guard. Very nicely done on the offensive end for Landis. And Fort Wayne does a great job getting to the foul line in this game too, Tom. They shoot 26 free throw attempts. They were the aggressive team offensively, especially down the stretch.
And speaking of the foul line, Obi Emegano, of those 27 points, 13 out of 15 at the free throw line. He leads the league, making 6.3 free throws per game. That's almost 2 more than any other player in the league right now.
Well, he's very aggressive. He plays a lot of minutes, and he is the main scoring threat for Oral Roberts. But Oral Roberts, they've got to get some help to come alongside Omegano. He's been very consistent in Summit League play, but the supporting cast hasn't been, and that's why this Golden Eagle team has struggled, especially even at their home games.
Yeah, Obi continues to lead the league in scoring right now. Denver at home against South Dakota. Pioneers win this one 66-52. Denver shoots at 51% from the field. They make 5 out of 10 threes. They shoot 86% at the free throw line, and when they're making shots like that, they are very tough to beat.
Yeah, especially at home when they play that way, because they control tempo, and when they're very efficient offensively, they just don't give their opponents a lot of opportunities to get back in the game. And I thought the other thing that Denver did a great job in this game, they out-rebound South Dakota by 8, and Denver's a team that has struggled rebounding the ball, but those extra possessions really kind of helped them secure the win.
Thomas Neff, one of those freshmen for Denver, was 16. And South Dakota, by the way, shoots at 2 of 13 on threes. They kind of had a tough week shooting the basketball. We'll see that a little bit later as well. On Friday, IUPUI at home against Western Illinois. Jaguars win at 69-67. Western Illinois had the ball down by 1 in the closing seconds, but they turned it over. They had 18 turnovers in this game, and despite 23 points from Garrett Covington, IUPUI wins it by 2.
Yeah, and Western could not overcome those miscues on the turnovers, but good effort by Western Illinois. They haven't won a game in the Summit League, and they could very easily start packing it in, but you can tell they're not doing that right now. They almost knock off IUPUI, and for the Jags, I think they were just happy escape this game with a win. They probably didn't play their best basketball, but they are able to get it in a close victory.
Darrell Combs with 18 for IUPUI. Matt O'Leary coming off their bench, 20 points and 10 rebounds. And IUPUI gets a 2-point win there. They would get a closer win than that a little later in the weekend. On Saturday, it was South Dakota State at Denver. Jackrabbits win 67-56. Denver led for more than half of the game. It was tied at 47 in the second half, but the Jackrabbits go on a run to take the lead and win it. Jake Biddle with 12 points, 8 rebounds, as he's coming back from injury and starting to really kind of be the glue again for this Jackrabbit team.
Yeah, you could tell his impact on this team has been very positive. They're playing much better basketball, South Dakota State is, since getting Biddle back. But in this game, it was anybody's game. It was really the last 5 minutes that really determined who was going to win. South Dakota State outscores Denver by 15 in those last 5 minutes. And really the pace of this game and the way the game flowed was a lot to what Denver liked. They were right on the cusp there of pulling off another big upset on their home court. Couldn't quite get it done, though.
Mike Dahm with 15 points and 7 rebounds as the Jackrabbits win that one. The other game on Saturday, South Dakota at Omaha. And Omaha, after losing at South Dakota State, they roll up 26 points in this one. We've talked about them being the #1 free throw shooting team in the nation. They make 28 out of 32 at the free throw line in this game.
Well, I thought Omaha was in kind of dangerous ground, honestly, in this game. I just thought, big game at South Dakota State Thursday. Do you look past USD here on your home floor? But they were ready to go, and they really did a nice job defending USD in this game. You look at what USD's starting guards, Burnett, Kasperbar, they only make 5 out of 22 shots. Omaha did a really nice job making life difficult for them. And then they got to the foul line, especially Jake White in this game. Really nice job dominating the paint. White, 15 free throws in this game, Tom. That's why Omaha comes out on the win.
24 points for Jake White, 26 for Devin Patterson as Omaha comes back with a win on Saturday. And then 2 games on Sunday. It was North Dakota State at IUPUI. Jaguars win it by 1. Jordan Pickett had 20 points in the game. He hits a three with 2 seconds to go to put the Jaguars ahead. Paul Miller had a heave at the buzzer that almost went in that would have won it for North Dakota State, but IUPUI 73-72.
Well, two very evenly matched teams, and this was the first time they had played this season. They still have another matchup in Fargo. But Pickett, really nice job in this game, 20 points. He only averages about 11, and it just seems like IUPUI's always getting somebody off their bench to really step up with a big game when they need it. In this one, it was Jordan Pickett.
They've got Pickett, O'Leary, Combs, Barksdale, Nick Osborne. All those guys have had big games so far for IUPUI as they get a 2-point win and a 1-point win on the weekend. And then the final game, Fort Wayne at home against Western Illinois, 88-67. Joe Reed with 17, and then D'Angelo Stewart for Fort Wayne, season highs with 16 points and 9 rebounds.
Well, Fort Wayne's just really playing well offensively as a team right now. They shoot 56% in this game and only turn it over 7 times, and that's what leads to 88 points. And Max Landis, who has been carrying them throughout the year, he has another great season, or a great game in this one. But John Conchar struggled in this game, but they were able to overcome that and still have an easy victory.
All right, so looking at this weekend, we got 2 of the leaders, IUPUI and Fort Wayne, with 2 games on the road. IUPUI goes to Denver and then to South Dakota State on Saturday. Fort Wayne on the road at South Dakota on Thursday, and then up in Fargo to take on North Dakota State on Saturday. Well, up next, the week that was for the women. 2 more wins for IUPUI, but everybody is looking up in the standings right now at USD. Can anybody catch the Coyotes?
Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort, Dakota Land Honda, and South Dakota Corn. Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and the Sioux Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Welcome back now to women's basketball, and one of the teams that has been interesting to watch so far, Newitt, is Omaha. The Mavs have been up, they've been down a little bit. They did get their first league road win on Thursday at Fort Wayne. 2-point game, 60-58. It was close throughout. No team had a bigger lead than 7 in this game. Omaha, in the last 30 seconds of the game, they miss, get an offensive rebound, miss again, get an offensive rebound, and then Ellie Brecht hits the game winner with 3 seconds left to win it by 2.
But when the game was on the line, Omaha made the play that needed to be made. Up to that point, it had been a very rough night for Omaha. They had 19 turnovers in this game, Tom, so they didn't take care of the basketball. Fort Wayne actually out-rebounded them the entire game, except for the very end where, like you said, where it kind of mattered. And just a tough loss for Fort Wayne. They were trying to get their first one in Summit League play at that point, and close but no cigar.
They would get it 2 nights later, however. But the other game on Thursday, IUPUI at home against Denver. This one goes to double overtime. Akilah Sims hits 2 free throws at the end of the 4th quarter to tie the game. Danielle Lawrence hits 2 free throws at the end of overtime to send it into the 2nd overtime where the Jaguars win it. Michael Rogers with 29 points and 11 rebounds for IUPUI.
Well, Rogers was the key. She dominated this game, scoring, rebounding. She had 8 offensive rebounds in this game. That's what led to those points, and IUPUI just dominated the glass in this one. 22 rebound advantage, and without that, they don't even have a chance to win this game. Denver almost gets it done. They play really well offensively, shoot 47%, but just couldn't quite seal it at the very end.
Yeah, Denver was ahead by 9 with 5 minutes to go in this game, but IUPUI comes back. Paige Bradley with 26 points in the loss for Denver. On Saturday, Fort Wayne at home against Denver, and Fort Wayne had 3 points in the first quarter, but then they turned it on from there. Josie Fisher with 13 points and 4 assists as Fort Wayne does get its first league win in this game.
Well, Fort Wayne did a great job defending Denver, and you kind of wonder if Denver had kind of used a lot of energy in that double overtime loss at IUPUI a few nights before. They turned it over 25 times, and Fort Wayne had 19 more shots in this game, Tom, and that's what finally got them over the hump, and they get their first win in the Summit League.
Elsewhere on Saturday, IUPU on the road at Oral Roberts. IUPUI was up 10 with about 3 minutes left to go in this game. Kaylin Mayberry hit a couple of threes in the last seconds for Oral Roberts to keep it close, but Danielle Lawrence with 23 in this game, the player of the week for the Jaguars as they win it 57-54.
Well, Lawrence really picked up her team when they really needed her to. Michael Rogers only 3 points in this game, Tom, and you would expect, on the road, if IUPUI is only getting 3 out of arguably their best player, especially inside, that they probably aren't going to win the game. They only shoot 33%, but they just kind of gutted it out and did what it took to get a big win for them, and I think stay within striking distance of both South Dakota and South Dakota State in this league race.
Caitlin Mayberry, another big game for Oral Roberts, 16 points and 10 rebounds for her. Western Illinois at home against Omaha. Western wins it 74-55. They scored 30 points in the third quarter, 52 points in the second half for Western Illinois. Michelle Maher with 23 points and 8 assists for the Leathernecks in this one.
Well, this was Western Illinois playing great defense. Omaha 1 of 17 from 3, and Western Illinois dominating the glass. And this is after Western Illinois had been dominated by USD earlier in the week. They had gotten out-rebounded by the Coyotes by 26. They flip it the other way. You think they did a few rebounding drills in between? They out-rebound Omaha by 15 in this one.
As you said, Omaha won 3 in the game. Western made 12 of them. And Maher, again, with 23 points to lead Western Illinois in that one. And then South Dakota at home against North Dakota State on Saturday, 80-54. The Coyotes up by 25 at halftime. They led by as many as 35 as they blow out the Bison in this one. 12 players scored in the game for South Dakota.
Well, Annie Williams played her entire team, 13 players, and the depth of USD just simply wore down NDSU in this game. NDSU only 8 healthy players available for this one. They turn it over 26 times, do the Bison, 12 steals for USD. That gave South Dakota tons of easy runouts and baskets, and once that happened, it was just too tough for NDSU to catch up.
All right, the Coyotes, by the way, have won their last 7 games in a row. They are 8-1, sitting atop the Summit League standings right now. Games coming up this week. You've got Omaha at home taking on South Dakota State and South Dakota, and IUPUI at 6-3. That's going to be an interesting matchup on Saturday with Western Illinois at IUPUI. When we come back on Inside the Summit League, we will meet some of the young Mavericks at Omaha, a trio of young players trying to take their team to its first ever Summit League tournament this season. The Mavericks are eligible for the postseason. We'll talk with them when we come back.
Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort, Dakota Land Honda, and South Dakota Corn. Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and the Sioux Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau.
After a 4-year transition from Division II to Division I, Omaha is eligible this year to play in all of the Summit League postseason competitions. And some of the young Maverick basketball players are ready to take advantage of the opportunity. Here are freshman Caroline Hogue, sophomore Remy Davenport, and junior Abby Lujan on how and why they ended up in Omaha and how far they think they can take this year's team.
I decided I want to play college basketball probably around 7th grade when it actually got serious a little bit, because I got my first college letter in 7th grade, and then it was exciting and fun. I took an unofficial visit here my junior year and loved it, and I actually committed in the start of my junior year. I like it a lot.
Down low for Hogue, running the court, getting the layup.
My game, I like being down low by the block. I can also come out and hit the 3 if I need to, or drive. I'm mostly left-handed, pretty much all left-handed.
Davenport, right wing, the lever open.
Yeah, I think from a young age, I think I really wanted. I've always loved college basketball, watching it and stuff. So I think I want to do it most of my life. I think we still have a lot of room to grow. Obviously, we've grown so much since our first game, but we're all still just getting used to playing with each other. So, yeah, I think I see a lot of room for potential. Since this year is our first year to play in the tournament, I think we all have set some high goals to try and win the tournament, and at least we're the underdogs going in, we know that, so at least make some noise.
I didn't start playing basketball until the 6th grade, and it was just because my cousin played and something that I wanted to do. But as I went on and I started playing, I got better and more competitive. My dream was to play Division I basketball.
for Lujan for 3 from the top of the arc. Yeah!
My role on the team is just to adapt to whatever the team needs. Coach Lang gave me the superhero name Mystique because I need to adapt to what we need to do. Like if someone needs to go in an offensive rebound, that's me, or we need more communication, then that's what I do.
Up next, in the pool for a look ahead at the Summit League Swimming and Diving Championships.
Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Grand Falls Casino and Golf Resort, Dakota Land Honda, and South Dakota Corn. Inside the Summit League on Midco Sports Network is presented by Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine and the Sioux Falls Convention and Visitors Bureau.
The Summit League Swimming and Diving Championships are 2 weeks away now, set to start February 17th in Indianapolis. And there are still a handful of regular season meets coming up this weekend. Western Illinois will be at the University of Iowa on Friday and Saturday. Now, they might be a long shot in the league championships, but Western's men finished their home schedule strong with a win against Washington University of St. Louis. The Leathernecks will have a couple of individual contenders, including Chris Nievo in the 200 butterfly and the 100 backstroke. Denver, though, has dominated the team championships in the last 2 years since they came into the league. South Dakota State's women's have been runner-up in the last 2 years. IUPUI second on the men's side, and IUPUI will be the host for the league championships coming up February 17th through the 20th. And we will see you next week on Inside the Summit League.